Alrighty, hello everyone, welcome to another game of Spellbringers. My name is GG the Machine, and today I am shoutcasting Sneaky playing as the Order versus Dioren as the Nature. So this is actually a best of 3 series, and this is from the King of the Hill tournament that happened a couple of weeks ago. The first, and surely not the last, King of the Hill tourney. So this was a round robin format. Everyone who signed up played everyone else, and it was done over 2 weeks. So it was pretty casual. There wasn't any prizes or anything. It was just a good way for players to practice. Now Dioren is actually, or was the winner of the beginners tournament that celebrated the launch of Spellbringers about a couple of months ago. So he is the higher seed in this matchup. However, Sneaky has been playing a lot. He's really been smashing out the games with me and with many other people, so I don't really know what to expect. This is going to be definitely a high level game. These players have picked up the game very quickly over the last few months and are playing some excellent Spellbringers. So we do see the quick expand. Pretty standard expand, really, for both players. No cheese, no greed. It's rare that you see Nature go for an expand first, but Order definitely can do it. Oh no, sorry, Order did go expand first. My mistake. Yes, I was not paying attention. So indeed, it is the expand first. From Order. Now, it can be a bit risky in a tournament game because I think generally the Spellbringers community, we don't cheese a lot. We tend to play pretty like normal macro games. But as soon as we start playing in a tournament, then all bets are off. It's all of a sudden becomes very cheesy. I definitely had to adapt my builds a little bit, play a little more safe, kind of expect the cheeses in my games. People are pretty intimidated by me because I'm one of the early beta testers, and so yeah, I got a lot of cheese in the tournament. Still, there is a looter coming out, so this is the risk of going for that expand first, is the looter's going to come out and can potentially get a couple of peasants. Oh no, he's going to go straight. Okay, he finds the peasants, going in for the kill. Good work from Sneaky, microing that one around. There is a Spearman for defense, but the Spearman isn't actually very good against the looter. However, the Spearman combined with the peasants could do pretty well. Yeah, not doing a lot of damage, this looter. He's wounded these peasants. The peasants on their own are not very good, obviously, but multiple peasants can just kill a looter. Oh, that looter didn't go for the chase. I think he's going to lose this looter now to the Spearman without actually killing anything. A peasant can probably one-shot this looter. Let's find out. Does a peasant one-shot? Yeah, one-shot that looter on 7 health. And now there's the enforcer anyway to counter that looter, so got a lot of hits off the looter, but no kills. And so that was really well played by Sneaky. He pulled his peasants away, was microing his spearmen, was using the peasants actually to attack the looter so that the spearmen didn't just die. So very, very well played. And now he's making use of his extra income with that quick expand, building units 2 at a time. Enforcer, spearman, pretty good mix. Now we're going to see some aggression from Dioren. He has 2 archers. The archers are very mobile. They have pretty good range, and so they can get free shots off on these enforcers, and then the spearmen can attack back, but their range is a little less, and their damage is pretty low. 400 versus 700 range, so these archers can definitely bully the Order units around, but they are very fragile if they get caught, especially by that enforcer. So very good kiting, hit and run. He's taking damage. The Falcon are doing the poison over time, so it's not free harassment, but we see the entangle. That's the Spellbringer ability, locks that Order unit in place. The enforcer does go down. Very, very good micro. He's just freely sniping away these units. That being said, though, we do see Dioren is actually floating a lot of resources, so he is microing very well, but at the same time, he's not actually producing a lot. He's producing out of his barracks, but he's not like getting tech or expanding. But still continuing to build archers. He will finally lose one of them. It's a KD ratio of 1 to 6, I think. So yeah, very good play. But we do see Sneaky behind this. He has been securing his third base. Only just now getting the Spellbringer, so that's a little late. And when your opponent has their Spellbringer, they can use their abilities like the Entangle that we've seen. And Sneaky hasn't had the option to use the Divine Shield or whatever it's called, the Shield, which you can use to save a unit from being sniped when it is entangled. Now these cannon towers are being upgraded, fully walling off this section. Oh, and actually cannon tower here as well, so the archer aggression won't be able to do much. Now he could get the expansion. The towers are on the retreat path, so these archers have nowhere to run, but maybe they'll get the castle or the citadel. They're gonna die. There's no way they can retreat, so killing this base could be really good. Oh, he's going to attack the spearmen. There is the crows, so we'll do excellent damage. No entangle, one entangle, good, so that'll prevent that spearman from running away, but perhaps he's already out of the maximum range of the crows. A little late with that entangle, unfortunately. And now we have the slowing spears to these archers. Managed to find the ramp, a little bit blocked there by the spearmen, but with the slowing spears, disengaging is very difficult. So yeah, it didn't go very well for Dioren. I think maybe if he used the crows to zone away the spearmen while taking the citadel, he could have taken that one down, but still, overall, he's had good value with these archers, but now we're starting to see him float, but however, he's just finished getting 6 Hall of Warriors, so now he can spend all of his resources quite easily. But he's going to fall behind in inspections, because he's only on 2 base still. Looking at the base of Sneaky, he has actually no tech. Just the Spellbringer. Now going for a church, that'll give him the clerics for the healers, very strong healer unit. And the phalanx are now good. They get really good against the spearmen. Oh, there's the divine shield, and the hammer to actually slow those units down, both the movement and attack speed. Those enforcers doing so much damage, even though they were low, they weren't being focused, or at least the one that didn't have the shield wasn't being focused. Uses the saplings to attack these units, but the problem with that is he meant to actually build some bases with these. He may let them time out. They are a temporary worker unit, and both of those died, so no expansion. Nice entangle, and we could even see a shield to prevent this from dying. No, it does get sniped, so Dioren continuing to trade, continuing to micro well. But we're going to see a much larger army with this third base economy. Has the cleric structure, the church, getting that master cleric mana upgrade, also getting the altar of light. That's important to unlock more abilities and get that cleave upgrade. Murder of crows. There's the shield. Divine intervention, it's called. It doesn't reduce all damage, it just makes them take 1 damage. And so they're not invincible. If you have a lot of units and it's the only unit in an army, they still will die, but it can soak up a lot of damage. Now, once again, Dioren has to be careful with this engagement because there's no retreat path. Still, the base could go down. And will he actually turn around to engage the army as they attack up the high ground? No, he's going to let them walk up, so he loses the high ground, loses the choke point, and now he's caught cannons and enforcers. Oh, what a really bad fight for Dioren. He's going to try to retreat. There's the T-Rex. He can use that to knock the units away, but didn't quite get the angle, and the Spearman and the Falcon is blocking the retreat path. Sneaky taking out all of these units. There's the shield. What a disastrous engagement for Dioren. Very, very bad. At the same time, he has done a counterattack at the north. Or, I guess not really counterattack, just a harassment into the main base. He will get some workers here. The army is out of position, but he's going to lose this army. Uses the Avatar of Command. That'll buy some time. It's a nice tanky unit with the taunt. Yeah, you're not going to get many workers. So I think after this, Sneaky's going to have a very large army. And he can probably just attack and kill Dioren. Third base is going down during this. If Sneaky attacks now, he should be able to deny that third base from completing. I think what the play would have been there for Dioren was to run up, aggro this tower, and then just turn around and fight this army. And this would have been a really bad fight for Sneaky because his army is mostly melee. That's where most of the damage is, the melee units, the enforcers. And then even though he has some ranged units, they're pretty short ranged and they're attacking up high ground, which means they have a 50% miss chance. And so it really makes use of the range of these ranges. Still, Deorin has re-macroed very quickly. He's going to engage now. Uses the cloud. Hammer is dodged completely. Nice work. The cloud makes units immune to damage in that specific area, but the fight has moved away from the cloud. Looks like Dioren's macro was just very good. He managed to rebuild his army extremely quickly. Sneaky completely on the run. Missing that hammer was big blow for him. It's very important to slow those ranges down. And we have some clerics on the field for Sneaky, so they're going to make these units much more durable with those heals, but the army is looking tiny. Sneaky, however, has the middle base. He's expanding into it. It's very vulnerable, but Dioren looking for blood. Going for this natural is definitely the better play, given that there's too many towers here in the third. He has, however, blown his cloud. That Spellbringer ability is very good for attacking into bases. Oh, and he's found this middle expansion. So that's going to get picked off. He does get the worker, the peasant.
I'm on the job.
We are seeing upgrades 2 at a time. Seeing the Great Stag. So Dioren having the superior macro in this point. Battle Standard. That's the equivalent of the cloud. It gives a very large armor buff in an area. But Dioren's army is just much larger. It's 81 food to 70.
Ready for action.
Dioren scouting for bases, which is clever. He's going to find this peasant looking for a cheeky expand.
Research complete.
And Dioren going to expand again with this peasant, the artisan rather. Oh no, and the peasant snuck through.
Ready for action.
And now he's going to be able to wall this off with towers. So Fighting Spirit, this map is a lot of very small narrow choke points. And so if you can prevent your opponent from expanding, then you're great. But if they kind of get this wall of towers, it can be hard to push through, especially nature. Their units aren't that great at pushing through towers. Okay, bit of a battle in the middle. Hammer comes through and connects with the Phalanx. And there's the cloud for the re-engage. Dioren pops the crows as well. Blinding flash to lower that damage. Now it is Sneaky on the run, but nope, re-engaging. He does have the banner of command for the extra armor, but his army is much smaller. The Enforcer carrying the banner is going to get sniped, so the buff is actually dropped on the ground. All of the Ranger snuck through. He needs to camp the gold and not just die to those towers, but a lot of towers from Sneaky, so even though he keeps losing these battles, Dioren has no way to actually kill him. He could go for spiders, which might be what he's doing with these two havens. Yeah, they're a siege unit, so they can attack with their pretty good splash damage and with their long-range attack. Otherwise, the cloud is just a very good way of sieging. Hope spider in the front, not where you want it to be. The spiders do excellent poison damage, so very good against these large spearman armies. But so many clerics, so they can heal this army very quickly and for a long time with this many clerics, with this much mana. That being said, he will burn through some of his mana using the blinding flash. And that the fourth base is being built. So this is really what Dioren should be trying to kill.
Our gold mine is running low.
He has scouted that there's a base there. He has the map control. He has the middle double expand. So he's definitely in the commanding position. Food is much further ahead for Dioren. 120 versus 90.
Research complete.
But this many clerics are very good in a fight, and Sneaky's actually floating a lot of resources, so his macro could be better if he had more barracks, if he was building more continuously. But now with the Crusade unlocked, he can actually get Crusaders, which are a very good way to spend gold. I think he's actually supply blocked, that's what he's doing. Yeah, but he could be using the Shame Chickens, as we call it. The farms have an ability which allows them, yeah, there it is, that's the Shame Chicken. So temporarily gives you more food. It will allow him to start producing a bunch of units. Going for the ballistas. Interesting. Ballistas are very good at sniping units, so they can take out the spiders or the enchantresses pretty quickly. That's how you'd want to use them. And we may see Dioren get caught once again between these towers and the army. Oh, but the middle base could get sniped. There are several towers. But against that large of an army, not going to be enough. Spiders, they are taking out these structures, but the dwarves have been called down to repair them. Attacking into the base, uses the entangle, but despite that, the archery posts get taken out immediately. Uses the crows. He has picked off some units, but still this base is going to fall. Dioren turning around to try to save the base. Oh, these enchantresses caught in a bit of an awkward rally point. They're a support unit, so on their own they're not too effective. And the ballista snipes them. So now we're going to see the battle in the middle, but perhaps we'll see Dioren retreat. Hammer connects on all of those ranges as well as the blinding cloud. The army from Dioren is just so much larger, especially with all these Blight Widows in the back line doing excellent damage over time. There's the cloud for that damage mitigation. Forces Sneaky on the retreat. Didn't actually get the base. He used the cloud to keep the base alive. That being said, the ballistas will ignore that because they're siege. So the cloud just gives them a 100% miss chance, but siege can't miss. So the fourth base finishes. It's a tongue twister. Fifth base being built for Dioren. Dioren and Sneaky both have thousands of gold. Turning into quite the late game. Perhaps we'll even see the Archangel Knights. It doesn't look like it, but they're very good. They have the Rain of Fire. It's an AoE spell. It's kind of like Sonic Storm, except it's with fire and not lightning. But very good in these large battles. No sign of any air units just yet, but he has the sky totems, so going for fairy dragons. Okay, so I think the plan is to use the null bomb to eliminate the mana on these clerics. It's a very good spell to prevent your enemy spellcasters. Sneaky, still his army is... Actually, it's a pretty similar army. There's the Great Stag for the heals and the movement speed. Hammer comes through to slow down those units. The Crusaders are soaking up the damage while the clerics keep them alive, but the army from Dioren is massive and he's using his rangers to focus fire down these clerics, so they are being picked off. Now they're turning to engage the ballistas, so the Order army just got smashed. GG. Nice work, Stag. Yeah, GG. Dioren, I think he just had better macro actually, because Sneaky was in a good position for a lot of that game, but we saw him be too slow in rebuilding his army. Perhaps he needed more barracks, more production structures to spend his cash quicker. So, GG, well played. Let's go over to game 2 and follow the rest of the series. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, we are on Highlands. This is game number 2 of Dioren versus Sneaky. The same factions, and we did see Dioren take that first game with, I think, mostly just better macro. He had a much larger army, I think, and was rebuilding that army much quicker. Highlands, however, is a very small map. It has the smallest rush distance in the entire map pool. So we could absolutely see some cheese. I think in this map you have to adapt your build. You do have to play a little safer. Both factions can cheese very well. Ooh, early lumber mill. Okay, so this tells me we're gonna see some towers. Because the lumber mill is the prerequisite which unlocks the tower. And there's no reason to build it this early. So he must be gonna cheese with towers on top of maybe enforcers, probably better than spearmen plus towers. As for Dioren, standard so far. Sneaky doesn't have a blacksmith. Okay, so I think... Oh, defensive tower, interesting. So he's just gonna go for towers. Towers plus spearmen. Interesting. I love this defensive tower though, because he doesn't have a blacksmith, and so he doesn't have any, he won't have any enforcers. And without enforcers, he leaves himself very vulnerable to looters, especially because a looter rush, you know, can be very common in this kind of cheese game, this cheese matchup. And so yeah, having a defensive tower just makes him pretty safe. Now he will have to upgrade this though, and it does cost him wood, which he needs to attack. Okay, now we see the looter. He does scout the tower, but he's not there. He sees the towers. He can take out one of them, but taking out 2 towers, that might be a tall order. And there's a spearman to actually distract this looter. The looter's gonna win, but the spearman's buying time. Now he can repair it while the towers are upgrading. Oh, he needs to upgrade them. Oh, this is clever. He's not upgrading them. Didn't have the gold, I think. Okay, he already has a defensive cannon tower. Maybe that one was the wrong choice. Yeah, so while he is building the cannon towers, he's actually continuing to build more scout towers to distract those units. This is a very deadly cheese. I've never actually versed this myself, so I'm not sure how I would go against it. Maybe Dioren should cancel this hold. He's gonna let it finish. Oh, I think that needs to get cancelled. Oh no, he lets it finish. He is getting the Hall of Scholars, perhaps getting a haven for the spiders would be good because they're the siege unit. We haven't seen an attempted counterattack, which usually is good against cheeses like this, but again, there's that tower, so the counterattack won't be very effective. The cannon tower is going to get focused down, no repairs, so... Oh, it doesn't cancel that cannon tower, but actually it pops up some health. So because the scout tower has more health than the cannon tower, it immediately gained about 40 HP when it was built. Interesting. Now it's being repaired. We do see the Spellbringer completed, so the Entangle gives an attack and regenerating health to the structure. So he does stand a chance at defending this hold due to that fast Spellbringer. But the Entangle will wear off. It is a long cooldown, but it's not forever. And there's no expansion behind this, so Sneaky is pretty all in. No expansion, nor is there a Spellbringer. Dioren needs to kill the worker. Uses the crows, gets 1 spearman. Yeah, and that cannon tower is sniped, but this other cannon tower is about to emerge. I don't think crows can attack buildings, so he couldn't have used that against the towers. He is continuing to build more Hall of Scholars. I think this is the wrong play. I think he needs spiders. Because he doesn't have the resources to actually spend all of these Hall of Warriors, to use all the Hall of Warriors. I think he's going to die here. If he had a very quick spider, but at the same time though, when there's that many spearmen, it is hard to keep those spiders alive. You kind of want to have phalanx. As a meat shield for those spiders. Also, sending down your tree herds can be pretty good to kind of fight and distract. Yeah, this hold's going down. Not cancelling that, I think, was a mistake. Now we see the expansion for Sneaky, so as the hold of Dioren is being killed, the expansion from Sneaky is completing. So it is looking pretty dire for Dioren. He has the Spellbringer and a +1 upgrade almost done, so I guess he's ahead in research. So in this situation, he could go for a drop. He could try get a Sky Totem, get a Raven Lord, use that to either just expand, like drop a unit over here, a worker to expand, or to drop workers in his opponent's base. When there's this kind of strategy, often your opponent doesn't have much defending because he has a lot of towers. He's going for a counterattack. Needs to avoid these towers. Like, oh, he took a few tower hits. Yeah, that wasn't too good. And while there is this cannon tower, it wouldn't actually protect units from archers. If he drops the archers over here, for example, or even here. So archers are a good way of harassing, even if your opponent has static defense, because they're ranged. Whereas a unit like a looter, because it's melee, it can be pretty easy to block with towers. Still no sign of spiders. Yeah, looking for a counterattack, but just in time. Sneaky built some towers of his own on that natural, so that was very good. Playing this one very smart. Good kiting. But I don't see how Dioren can push through these towers, especially with the Spellbringer completing for Sneaky. It means he can use those dwarves for repairs. Oh, and look at that shield. Gonna turn the fight. Does wear off finally, but picking off these archers, happily trading given his base advantage. You will need to get some more production structures, however, given that 2 base. There's the Haven. And a Sky Totem. Okay. It is being scanned. So let's see. Sneaky, he sees the... Yeah, he saw the Sky Totem and he saw the Haven. So that was a really good scan. Peasant goes down, yeah. Well.
Job's done. Job's done.
Yeah, he snuck through a unit to expand. Nice. And even though Sneaky has this extra base, he really hasn't been producing much units. Just now getting the 4 racks online, pumping out enforcers. Now his army's much stronger, but the sapling, no. Oh. I think saplings, and Sneaky scanned it. That's hilarious. He saw that happen. I think Dioren's weakness, oh, look at this hammer. It's going to block their retreat, especially with the spearman for the slows. Consistently throughout Dioren's games, we've seen him lose those saplings so many times. Like this one, hopefully he'll get it. He does get it, the expansion. That's why sometimes it's worth just building extra artisans to expand with. But losing those archers in the front means that Dioren... His army's too small. I don't think he can hold against all these enforcers. He will have crows ready to go, but 5 archers versus that many units. Oh, and the Raven Lord gets caught. The spearmen get several good hits. Spider taking out these cannon towers. And the archer's getting caught. So, yeah, this isn't really going well for Dioren. The hold is undefended, although perhaps Dioren won't go for the attack. Well, getting this peasant would be nice. Nope. He flies over it. Just as the cannon towers fall, the army has shown up. Okay, he's going to drop on the... Nope. Now the cannon tower is built. Okay, nice work using the web on this tower. It gives extra armor to the structure, but the enforcers and the spearmen are marching through the main base. No units defending. Drops the looters and getting a lot of peasants, but the towers are defending the gold, and there are enforcers here to scare these looters away, but picks them up just in time. Oh, very, very late entangle. You want to do it early, otherwise the building can just die. Yeah, so I think that's Dioren out of this. He'll get maybe a couple more peasants, but were the enforcers defending this, that the looters can't do that much. Although that being said, the natural, I guess, the expansion was not attacked by Sneaky, and that was really the most important structure to kill. Taking out a Hall of Warriors didn't do much. Getting the Hall of Scholars is not bad. That delays the upgrades and it prevents him from building phalanx. And this cannon tower actually survived. Okay, Looter's going back in, but still there is enforcer there. Dioren is just really spread out. I wonder what those archers were doing.
Job's done. Ready to work.
Continuing to kill more and more peasants. However, the cannon tower took out a looter.
The sacred grove is being desecrated.
Oh, looter. Nope, he left behind. No looter left behind.
Warriors have
And this third base does complete, so that was a bit of a mistake, unfortunately. He didn't see that peasant. And it's even a fourth base for Sneaky.
stand ready.
So he's setting himself up very well. So long as he is able to spend his gold income. Oh, this Ravenlord could die because they're slow. Yeah, he drops it off. Turning to get some peasants instead. And he's going to lose this expansion. Finally, the towers go down. Triumphant spider.
I stand ready.
Job's done.
And there's no meat shields. There's no phalanx here. There's the hammer. Does slow down the rate the murder of crows. So Dioren's holding on, but this game feels a little inevitable. The victory for Sneaky. 4 base against 1. Pretty bad. 2 base against 1 is rough. 3 base against 1, very rough. 4 base against 1, yeah, there's no hope there.
Ready to work. Our forces are under attack. Ready to
His income's about to explode. Avatar of, whoa, he just paused. And that natural, gonna get sniped. So yeah, that tower rush was very deadly at the start. And I think there were two big mistakes that Dioren made. The first one was that he didn't cancel his hold, he let it finish. So he didn't get the refund on those resources. And secondly, I think he just waited too long to get his spiders. You want to get those very quick to snipe down those towers, as he eventually did, but at that point it took a bit too long. He was behind in economy for ages, and Sneaky was very good at playing very safe with his behind his cheese. Like, he had these cannons on the expansion, he had a cannon on his main base, so he didn't really leave any opportunity for Dioren to counterattack or punish him. So very, very well played by Sneaky. Also, yeah, I think if your opponent cheeses you, as nature, you probably want to pull your tree herds in. He could have built his own towers, he could have at least just used the saplings and the tree herds to attack. So, well played, GG. Awesome cheesy game on Highlands. So let's go ahead and watch this final game and see who wins the series. Whoa, game number 3, we have ourselves a nature mirror. Very interesting. Now, Sneaky can play both nature and order very well. But given that the score is even, it was 1-1. I'm not really sure why he changed. We'll see if he has some kind of cheese in mind. Nature mirrors are very aggressive. They can be a very aggressive matchup, and so... yeah, let's see what he does. We are once again on Fighting Spirit. So this is the same map as round 1. The way that the map pool works in this tournament is that there's a pool of 5 maps, and out of this pool, the lowest seed chooses the first map, and then the loser after that picks the subsequent map. So I think Sneaky would have chosen the first game, and then he lost, and so he picked the second one, which he had for a cheese. And then the third game, Dioren must have picked. So yeah, Fighting Spirit, 2 out of 3 times. All warriors and a conservatory. So standard build for Dio as well as for Sneaky. They're both doing the same thing. But let's see if they go for a double haul. No, going for an expansion. So yeah, standard play, even though usually in Nature Mirrors, standard play isn't standard because of just how deadly this matchup is. A lot of looter spam can be really good, 2 racks looters. Also Haven is very good. The Toads trade very well against the archers, the looters, the phalanx, especially because of how they synergize with crows. They can use the leap on top of your enemy's army and then pop crows. It's very deadly. But yeah, we have ourselves a normal game. Now Dio, I think, is... I mean, really, Dio only plays nature, and so he's perhaps more used to it than Sneaky, who kind of bounces between order and nature. But I do think Sneaky has been practicing more lately, and so maybe he'll out nature Dio.
I stand ready.
Building archers for both players. Yeah, very similar. Archers are actually really bad against looters. So they can be pretty dangerous up until you... Having archers, I mean, can be pretty dangerous up until you get phalanx to really soak up the looter damage.
I stand ready.
So looter's taking a lot of damage. 2 looter hits and two arrows. So he's taking an arrow to the knee, but still gonna get the scout on the base. He will be there just in time for it to complete, so he could damage the sapling. No, he's hiding. In the hidden nook. Very good views from here. I'm sure the sunset looks beautiful from the little nook. Maybe he's just leaving it there to scout later on. Okay. Producing archers 2 at a time is Sneaky. Dio a little bit later with his second Hall of Warriors. Spellbringer is halfway done. And once again, Sneaky's a little bit ahead with his structures.
I stand ready.
So he's looking a little bit ahead. That being said, this looter's going for an attack. Very good against archers, as we see. Does get entangled, but still the archers from Dio are able to do the damage while Sneakies are attacking that looter. So good trade for Dio, but he was a little outnumbered. Of course, when you're attacking your opponent's base, they can reinforce quite quickly.
We're under attack.
Oh, I missed. I don't know what happened there. And then will we have drops? What are we going to do? Are we going to see quick third? Quick tech? Yeah, quick third. Oh, that's what happened. The looter died. Here's a quick third. Now, maybe he should get a tower first. Let's see what he does.
I smell magic.
Just goes for the base. Yeah, hoping that that Dio won't notice. And now we have phalanx mixed in for Sneaky. Third base as well. I love this. Dioren actually sending an artisan. Too often has his poor sapling died from timing out. So now he's just sending an artisans, which can never time out. These phalanx doing a lot of damage. Oh, uses the crows. We'll get 3 archers. Very good pickup. And it will secure this third base. That was at risk of getting sniped. More archers here. They can kite very well, but the problem is that they have to worry about getting entangled. And of course, they have to worry about getting shot by the archers of Sneaky. And there is his crows. Only gets 1 archer. Oh no, archer goes back in and gets crowed to the face. Gets nibbled on, get his eyes pecked out. And both of our players just trading archers for archers. continuing to look very even. Oh, we see Dio swapping for toads. Interesting, but he already has the Hall of Elites. That's the tech building for these hall units. 3 havens. Interesting. Meanwhile, we see Sneaky continuing to commit to Hall of Warriors units, getting his Hall of Elites and the Altar of Nature. So now Dio's slightly ahead in tech. And will he just give up on archers, or will he kind of mix in? Let's see. Oh, he's gonna catch this artisan. But this hold has completed. Oh, pops the T-Rex. That's no, maybe not the best choice here, because the T-Rex is kind of a support unit. It has a really good tail whip. On its own though, its damage isn't that great. The main point of the T-Rex is that it can disrupt units. So during a big fight, that tail whip, knocking them and slowing them is quite deadly.
I'm on the job.
So the food's pretty even. Artisans eating a kebab on the job, not mining. Maybe their unions protesting for better mining pay. Not a very good job, I imagine. There we go. They're on the job. And now building toads 4 at a time. I don't think we've actually seen... Oh, there's a toad, the first toad. We haven't seen any upgrades from this Hall of Elites. So he hasn't actually used it. It is relatively cheap though. Its upgrades are quite expensive, and so building it and not using it isn't the end of the world. But a lot of toads. Gets entangled. They can't leap when they're entangled, but leaps forward. There's the crows for both players. Crows, however, much more effective against the archers than what they are against the toad. But the crows actually find some archers in the back too, leaping forwards. And now the archers have found the 3rd base, but all they find is a tower. No exposed artisans to pick off. Sneaky looking for a 4th base. Dio may want to get some more tree herds. His wood income isn't very good. And the Haven units generally are pretty wood heavy. Everything except for the sprites cost a fair bit of wood. Building off some towers. So the towers are good because of the choke point and the ramp. However, the toads can just leap over to the high ground. So maybe building the towers on the gold would be better. Oh, and Sneaky has no tower on this 3rd base. Only just now building it. He will pop the entangle, but the damage is pretty low. It'll buy time, at least. Sneaky attacking up the ramp. His army is quite larger, however, and there's the T-Rex for Sneaky. The toads are good, but they're so outnumbered. Oh, and there's the spider very, very late. Excellent damage, but unfortunately they were rallied on the wrong side. And now they don't really have any toads to soak up the damage. The ranger upgrade does complete for Sneaky, so these rangers have more movement, more damage, more armor. They're just a stronger unit all around. And behind this, Sneaky has this 4th base going down. Yeah, so in that fight we saw two things go really bad for Dio. He didn't have his T-Rex. It must have been on cooldown because he popped it earlier over here. And secondly, the toads were on the high ground and the spiders were on the low ground, and so it was a bit of an awkward positioning. Still, he's continuing to build toads. You may want to actually mix in some sprites. The sprites do magic damage against the heavy armor of the they do extra damage against the heavy armor of the phalanx. And so far this army is mostly phalanx. I guess he's mixing in. It's a bit of a counter system because the rangers are very good versus the sprites. The sprites are good versus the phalanx, and then I guess the phalanx and the toads are kind of even. But the poison from the spiders is good against the phalanx. Wow. And now he's churning out sprites. Dio has a lot of production, but he is unfortunately supply blocked. Going for the nature upgrades. He has one damage and no armor. As for Sneaky,
Work
Research.
what does he have? He has 1 attack. So he has the same upgrades, just with a different strategy. Okay, the army's a little bit low here for Sneaky. He has several units that are wounded. He's going to attack into the Toad, looking for some crows there. A lot of sprites mixed in here. The army for Dio is looking much larger. He's leaping ahead, uses the crows in an excellent position, but the army from Sneaky was able to retreat. The Toads and the sprites are both pretty mobile with the leap. So they can chase units down, get some entangle,
Work complete.
getting some grasping roots. So really good fight for Dio. However, his sprites going ahead. Oh, they're too fast. They run away in front of the Toads, and now the Toads jump in. This army has been reinforced, and the Toads are just getting bullied, getting picked off. The spider damage is excellent, so it forces Sneaky to actually spread his units out. Continuing to engage the Toads. Now he retargets the spider. They're very fragile. Dio barely wins that fight.
Flows of magic.
If his sprites weren't in front, it would have been much better for him. So he loses his other spider. But more units are reinforcing here. Pure Toad versus Ranger will definitely benefit the Toads. Sneaky just has too many bases. He has this extra base, whereas Dio doesn't have his 4th, but he just has a lot of Toads. Maybe he can actually take out
Research. Our warriors have engaged.
this base here. There's only 1 tower defending this. Uses the T-Rex that's going to zone away the units coming up. They will still get over the ramp. The tower doesn't actually go down. Sniping at these enchantresses, they're very vulnerable to the piercing damage of these Toads. But it does give a buff to these phalanx, making them extra tough. They even have magic damage, which does bonus versus the Toads. But at the same time, the Toads can snipe them down very fast. More and more Toads are reinforcing. The tower hasn't been repaired, so it's pretty vulnerable. Sniping down the ranges, focus fire would be more effective than just attack moving.
Your building is complete.
The T-Rex, though, did soak up a lot of damage.
Our warriors have engaged.
Okay, the army's a little caught, spreading out. He will get this tower, and now these workers are exposed. Oh, his army's split up. And there's the T-Rex and the crows from Sneaky, but the Toads just leap away, but most of them are very wounded. He should try to retreat if he can and heal them up with the sprites, but I think he wants to fight this engagement because he is on a really good choke point. Makes the Rangers try to run up the ramp, but it's a very awkward engagement. Leaping down, the Toads, the wounded ones are actually in the rear, so that was good soaking up of damage, but the Rangers do win due to their numbers. Now Spider's going for the base, but now the Spiders are separated from the Toads. Oh, a bit of an awkward positioning once again from Dio. The Toads and the Spiders being separated. Not ideal. Oh, and he attacks the tower, not the units. Yeah, look at that. Pretty deadly against Spiders, against Rangers if they are able to get damage off. But they will get sniped in turn, and they're pretty expensive. They're very late crows too. I think Sneaky's macro is just going to be a bit too high. He's producing units out of many Hall of Warriors, but it actually has an extra base to fuel it. At the same time, there is insane production. Building, just finished one rally of what, 7-8 trees. Trees are incredibly tough. They will annihilate this army on their own. However, they may get kited, and the real counter to them is the enchantresses that have the leech seed ability. Having the Dendroid warriors combined with the spiders would be really good, or even the toads. Toads try to snipe the enchantresses. Very slow, and let's see what happens. I think Sneaky will just retreat from this one. I don't think attacking this would go particularly well. Once these phalanx get taken out, I think that Rangers get one shot. And these trees can get healed up by the sprites. Good scouting from Sneaky, making sure there's no hidden bases. Sending forth his tree herds. Wow, he's looking for a really decisive attack, but the saplings do have a limited life. So Dio just retreats. Maybe he'll get a middle base here.
Our warriors have engaged the enemy. Create more moonlets.
He's getting really supply blocked though. Really brutal supply block. Okay, the supply block just finished. Now he's rebuilding units. A lot of enchantresses mixed in, and they have the leech seed. I think it's 165 mana. Not quite available. Gotta make sure he doesn't auto cast. Oh, there's the cloud. There is some auto casting of the Thorn's armor, and in turn a cloud from Dio. So the units are immune, but they do retreat. Yeah, a bit awkward there. Sneaky. It wasn't a good fight. Just needs to try to wait until he has leech seed. He has 3 enchantresses that can leech seed, but they auto cast Thorn's armor, and so you have to disable that to prevent them from burning through their mana. Blight Widow in the rear, pretty good if it survives. The trees are getting gradually killed though, even though they are trading pretty well. The Thorn's armor still helps a lot, making those phalanx durable. Toads leap forward, try to get the good damage really close up, means they can't retreat. There's the crows in turn from Sneaky. Gonna do great damage against the tree herds, even though they're quite tough. Oh, he's looking for the 4th base.
Ah, the great outdoors.
I think Dio is gonna lose all of his wood income. He's pulled off a lot of his tree herds, and they have died. Quite a fair amount of them. Okay, needs to attack on this ramp. This is where he needs to fight to have a chance, but he gets knocked away by the T-Rex. Really good tail whip. Prevents him from making use of that high ground. The Rangers are diving after these spiders, but while they do that, the Toads take them out. So, great play in the end by Dio. The Toads will take a long time to kill this hold, however. Oh, and now there's the sprites for heals. Here comes a whole rally of phalanx. Still, the ramp though is going to completely block, well, not block all of them, but block about half of them. Cloud for cloud. Sprites can do pretty good damage, so they'll take this base out. The cloud hopefully buying time. Neither unit is damaging each other. They pull away from the hold, taking out these phalanx, so really good damage, the mass sprites against those phalanx, taking them out almost in a single volley. But they are working to soak up damage for those rangers. Become the artisans, maybe they'll build a bunch of towers. And no more phalanx, but the rangers still doing excellent damage versus the sprites. Another base for Sneaky, so he's continuing to aggressively expand. Something that I've noticed Sneaky loves to do is just expand, expand, expand. Put pressure on, prevent you from punishing his bases, and then next thing you know, his army is just too big. Yeah, look at this production. Building rangers, what, 10 at a time? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 rangers at a time. Able to power his way through these trees. Now with the saplings though, he doesn't want to fight this. He needs to time them out. Dio doesn't have a 4th base. He's gonna burn through all his money. The main base has exhausted itself. The natural about to exhaust. So Dio is about to go broke very quickly. Yeah, really needed to expand earlier. Even the middle base could have been a good expansion choice.
Research.
The Haven army is pretty slow, but it is tough, and so defending that middle base is quite viable. Oh, look at this battle though. This is going very well for Dio. Those trees, they one-shot the rangers. They're just so powerful if they get within range. I'm surprised that Sneaky was just standing there. Yeah, needs to attack with those phalanx. Sneaky has no problems with money. Another rally of saplings. The rangers turning to snipe the sprites. Not a very efficient trade, but it doesn't matter. Sneaky's army is just constantly being reinforced. Oh, but another big rally of Dendroid warriors. Sneaky's army is getting collapsed upon. It is getting sniped. Yeah, turning to disengage now. Well, he's buying time, fueling his massive economy. Still getting 3-3. He's doesn't have the great stag, and I believe that Dio actually does. But he hasn't had the mana to... Oh, really good tail whip prevents a lot of these rangers from retreating.
Work complete. I smell magic in the air.
Dio finally now getting his expansions, getting both the corner base and the middle base. But for now, he's currently on 1 base income. This third is the only gold mine actually operating. So until he gets these bases, he's not going to have much reinforcements. Dio's engaging. The Ranger's looking to get the snipes. The Toads are wounded. The Sprites are picked off very quickly. And the Dendroid Warriors are not that amazing versus the Phalanx en masse because they have that strength damage. Oh, but unfortunately there was no focus fire from Sneaky onto these trees. So they can get healed. That being said though, when there's just constant reinforcements, there's no opportunity for them to heal because they can't heal in combat. That's the stag very late. Won't do enough to keep these units alive. Dio losing the last semblance of his army. The middle base just about to finish, but he'll have no units left to defend.
Our warriors have engaged the enemy.
Stag time's off. And now it's just a handful of warriors against wave after wave of expendable rangers. This base is completed, but he's not mining.
Work complete.
Middle base isn't mining either. Oh man. Yeah, putting them all to work now. I think one of Dio's weaknesses is that he often tends to over micro. He tends to micro things very precisely, meanwhile there are some important things of his economy that's slipping. Those warriors are just so tanky. There's the cloud for both players in fact, so neither player can damage each other. It buys time for the income to actually start coming for Dio. His army's getting cleaned up though. He's just building units slowly. Sneaky powering through so many units.
We're under attack.
He has this base as well now. Yeah, it's 120 food against 72. That's GG. Yeah. Yeah, Sneaky has the entire map. Well, not the entire map, but he has enough of the map. Every gold mine. That's a big lie. He doesn't have this. Well, suicide attack. Now the Hauler Warriors units are not very good against towers. But when there's that many of them, it doesn't really matter. GG. Alright. GG. Sneaky has crushed Dio. 2-1, so overall pretty close. I think, well, as we've seen before, Dio just fell behind in bases. Particularly early on, his third base was pretty late. And there were a couple of, I think, pretty key engagements where his toads and his spiders were separated. and they really need to be together. So they're somewhat similar to like Ranger Phalanx. The Phalanx and the Toads are meat shields. The Spiders and the Rangers are damage dealers. Even though they do that quite differently, because the Spiders have really good siege, like really good splash damage with the poison. They need to be together, and if they're separated, it just doesn't really work. And we saw that happen twice, at pretty crucial times, I think. So yeah, GG. Nice games. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel for more Spellbringers content. And if you haven't, you can join the Discord to play some games, download the maps, chat to our community. You can watch us play. We usually stream our games on the weekends, and so you can say hi and yeah, get introduced to the game. So thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.